Welcome to part 7 of my Canon rock tutorial. This week we're going to learn the minor chorus. Before we actually get into it, I want to briefly touch on the chord progression that's going on. As opposed to being in D major like the rest of the song, this section's actually in D minor, or D harmonic minor. And the chord progression goes like this. D minor to A major, B flat major, F major, G minor, D minor, G minor, A major. This section might be in minor, but it's still a chorus. So the rhythm of quarter note, 2/8 notes, quarter note, 2/8 notes, then a measure of eighth notes, and keep looping that for the whole melody. It stays the same. Almost the whole thing plays the exact same way, just with a few notes changed here and there to account for the switch from major to minor. And so it starts out the same with a quarter note up at the 17th fret of the E string. Then you're going to do 2/8 notes, 13th fret of the E, then 15th fret. That's eighth notes, with that minor third there, really hitting home the minor key. Then another quarter note up at the 17th fret of the E string. And then two more eighth notes at 13 and 15 of the E. And then the next measure is going to start at the 17th fret of the E string again. Now drop down an octave to the 14th fret of the G string. Up to the 15th fret. Down the B string. 14, 15, 17. And then on the E string, 13, 15. So that those two measures are going to sound like this. Now, continuing on, we have a quarter note at the 13th fret of the E string. Now, 15, 17 on the B string. Up to another quarter note at the E string, at the 13th fret of the E string. Now we're going to drop down an octave to the 15th fret of the D string. And we're going to go up to the 17th fret of the D string, and that finishes that measure. Now the next measure, we have 14th fret of the G, 15, 14, down to 17 on the D, back up to 14 on the G, up to 15 on the B string, down to the 14th fret, back up to the 15th fret, and then land for quarter note on the 11th fret of the B string. And so those two measures are going to sound like this. And now that measure starts with the quarter note. Then 2/8 notes, 15, 13 on the B string, back to the 11th fret. And then finish the measure off with 14, 12 on the G string. Now the next measure starts again with 14, 12 on the G string, down to the 10th fret, up to 12, 14, 11 on the B, 13 on the B, 15 on the B. So those two measures sound like this. Then you're going to land for quarter note on the 11th fret of the B string. Then come up here 2/8 notes, 15, 14, and then land on 15 for a quarter note. And then finish the measure off with 12, 13 on the E string. And then an eighth note run starting at the 14th fret of the G string. 14, 15, 14, 15, 17 on the B string. And then 13, 15, 17 on the E string. So those two measures are going to sound like this. And so I'll play the whole thing slowly now. So moving on, the second half of the chorus, very similar to the second half of, the regular chorus, just in minor again. So it's going to start with a quarter note at the 13th fret of the E string, 2/8 notes on the B string, 15 to 17, to another quarter note at the 13th fret of the E string, Then 2 more 8th notes on the B string in reverse order, so 17 to 15. The next measure, all 8th notes, and all on the B string. 17, 14, 15, 17. Bend up a half step to sound like the 18th fret. Release the bend in time, and then pick down at the 15th fret and the 14th fret. So those 2 measures are going to sound like this. Land, next measure, at the 15th fret of the B string for a quarter note. Then 15th fret at the G string for 8th notes. To the 14th fret of the B string. To quarter note at the 15th fret of the B string again. And from here, it's the exact same as the first half. So we got, finish the measure with 15, 17 on the D string. Then the next measure, 14, 15, 14 on G to 17 on the D, 14 on the G string, 15, 14, 15 on the B, and land down at the 11th fret of the B string for a quarter note. 8th notes come down from 15, 13, 11 to another quarter note. Finish the measure off with 14, 12. Start the next measure off 14, 12 on the G string. 10, 12, 14, 11, 13, 15 on the B. Land on the 11th fret of the B string. 2 8th notes, 15, 14, 15 for a quarter note. So the second half, I'll play the different section, and then say when it becomes the same as the time before. Back. So it's just those first few measures that are a little different. And so you just have to learn that second, that's the beginning of the second part, because the rest is all the same. Until we get to where we ended at 15, 14, 15 on the B. After that quarter note on the B string, we're going to do a big scale run back in D major to get us back to, the original key. And what it's going to be, 3 notes per string, and it's going to start at the A string. 12, 14, 16. And then it's all 8th note triplets. The exact same 3 frets on the D string. 12, 14, 16. Exact same 3 frets on the G string. 12, 14, 16. Then 14, 15, 17 on the B string. And then 14, 15, 17 on the E string. All of them 8th note triplets. And I like to hammer on, pick the first note of each string. And hammer on. You can pick it if you want. I just think the smooth sound of hammer on sounds the best. And so the second half, a little slow, is going to sound like this. And it doesn't have a downbeat there. It just does the scale run up and everything cuts out. And it's a really cool effect. Now I'll play the whole thing for you one more time, slowed down. Now I'll play it up to speed. can play this just like the chorus. So all alternate picking, all quarter notes on downstrokes. And so I was just playing with really exaggerated picking, a little sloppy, but you just focusing on the picking, just so you can see that you can use this for an exercise too, just like you could with the regular chorus. And with that, it'll get up to speed in no time. You can use it to speed it up really fast to get an alternate picking workout, like... you can speed it up extra just to get your own, picking exercise. And maybe even, I won't do it now, but maybe look at the two sections, find what notes make it major and minor if you're, looking to see some music theory kind of stuff, because that can always be pretty cool. And thanks for watching. Next week, or next time, we'll be getting into the, the ending solo stuff. And so, yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you learned the song. Hope guitar's going well. Yeah, thank you. See ya.